Call and Response: 10 Leadership Lessons from the Black Church is a captivating exploration of how the Black Church has served as a timeless wellspring of leadership development, empowerment, and cultural preservation. The book will weave together findings from research of the impact of the Black Church on Black leaders' development, personal narratives from the author's life, stories and voices of high-ranking Black leaders in the Fortune 500, and scientific evidence from neuroscience and positive psychology to create a comprehensive guide for any leader seeking to develop their skills while exploring and embracing their culture and history of Black leaders in America. Call and Response is from the award-winning, best-selling business leadership author, L. Michelle Smith, whose mission as an evidence-based certified executive and personal coach is to empower leaders at the intersection of science and culture to reach and have a sustaining impact in the C-suite. Coming soon. Visit lmichellesmith.com or follow L. Michelle on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube for more updates.
Join SOAR Academy, our all-in-one learning platform with assessments, live, recorded, and hybrid masterclasses and courses, and a vibrant community of like-minded leaders seeking the E and C suite. Join now and receive a free leadership tool. Hey y'all, this is Culture Soup, where tech, culture, and business collide. It's a podcast that spoons up everything hot from social media. I'm your host, L. Michelle Smith, and each episode, we bring you some of the most notable and not yet notable thought leaders in tech, business, and culture. Hi, everybody. I am excited because it's a very special day. I think my friend has been on the show. This may be her fourth time. I need to go back and count. But I have the very special privilege of having my dear friend of over 25 years on the show. And the other thing is that we've been working together on and off in all sorts of different ways since way back when, like the early 2000s and such. I remember back when I was still in comms and I was working at the big firms, and I would call her and see if there were ways that I could support her. And when I left Ketchum as a vice president, she was like my second client because she did PR and she closed her shop and decided she wanted to write and inspire women and speak. And she needed a publicist. So I stepped right in and we got some things rolling. And then before long, I started my own business. And then I also had clients that needed spokespeople. So I hired her for that. She did some work for some hair care clients and she did some work for some other brands. And before long, I find myself at AT&T, and guess what we do again? I hire Valorie, and Valerie's a spokesperson, one of the first spokespeople. And you may not know this though. There was a cadre of people in the Inspired Mobility campaign, which most people know about in association with Rev Run. But before Rev Run, there was Valorie Burton and some other folks too. But all that being said, the funny twist of all of this is that when I left AT&T and I was speaking and I was writing books, I was looking for that one thing that would activate exactly what I was saying, speaking, and writing about. And I'm on my phone. I put my daughter to bed. At that point, she's probably around 8 or 9 years old. I'm scrolling through Instagram. And then I see this ad from my friend, Valorie Burton. And I chuckled because I wanted to know, how did she target me? Am I in her target audience? Like, how does this work? And the message was how to make your first $10,000 as a coach. And I said, what is Valorie selling? So I'm curious because I knew Valorie was a coach. This was not new. So I started going down the rabbit hole. And before long, what do you know? She sold me on becoming a part of the coach training intensive, her CTI program. And I thought, maybe this is the way to activate what I'm doing. So I went to CTI for a weekend back when you could go in person in Atlanta. And first day, they're on stage doing a sample coaching, a laser coaching. And I said, you know what? This is me. And from then on, Valorie became my mentor, coach, and trainer. That's where I got my coach training from the CAP Institute. She's also the CEO of the CAP Institute, which has been around a while now. And they are training coaches out the wazoo around the world. Numbers of people are getting their coach training, and whether or not they're becoming full-fledged coaches on their own, or they're taking that skill into their organizations, becoming better leaders, they're coaching. So look, she's got this new book out. What is this, number 14? I think 15. I've forgotten how many, and I'm going to ask her when she comes on. But this is her latest book. It's called The Rules of Resilience. And you know, this term resilience is almost a buzzword now, but I don't think people have dug into the meaning as deeply as Valorie has. So without further ado, I'm going to try and bring her on, and let's talk to Valorie Burton. Valorie, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Michelle. So good to see you as usual. Yes, we have been you said 25 years. We met in 1997.
Okay, now you're telling our age. I resemble that remark.
Well, that's only 3 additional years. You said 25.
I know, right? Well, you keep it around that 25 mark because people start to think, oh, they're old. So may as well, right?
Living, and we've got wisdom we're gaining along the way.
Yes, and we look good for our age.
Look, I'm blessed and happy to be the age that I am. And you know what? One of the biggest blessings is knowing people over time for a long time and still wanting to know them, still wanting to be connected, and seeing your friends flourish. So, hey, it's all good.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I mean, when you think about that, and I kind of went through the timeline pretty quickly, all the different iterations. But at the very end of the day, both of us are very much walking in our purpose, exactly where God wants us.
Yeah, without question. And it's funny that we had 2 similar careers. I had my PR agency, and you had been doing news producing and then PR. And then when I got out of my agency, it was right around the time that you started yours, because I remember referring you over to a nonprofit I was on the board for.
That's right.
Who else do you know? And I was like, I was leaving Dallas, and I was like, you should, this is who you should call.
That's right. Was it Promise House?
It was the Family Place.
The Family Place.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paige Flink if she's listening.
Absolutely.
She's awesome. It's interesting because she's the same person that reached out to Cheryl Atkins Green at Proline at the time.
That was the connection. Of course, Cheryl is one of the stories that I feature in Successful Women Think Differently.
Yes.
And she is just a brilliant, humble, wise, awesome woman.
All of it. All of it.
And on the podcast too.
And isn't this the lesson here? Once you meet good people, you stay in touch with good people, but you also say names of those people in different rooms.
Absolutely.
And that's how you got to know Cheryl.
Yeah, through you.
She was my client.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you were doing some PR campaigns, and I think it was Soft and Beautiful, and I had that great opportunity. So yeah, it's fun. It's amazing how quickly time passes.
It really does. So Valorie,
right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, everything we've done together, like even how we met through a mutual mentor, like everything is about relationships.
Yes. And, you continue to deliver. Some people would say, well, gee, you don't want to do business with friends. And on the whole, you probably don't. But every once in a while, you meet somebody. And for you, Valorie, for me, I think the key is just honor, not just the friendship, but the business relationship too.
Absolutely.
You always paid on time. We always paid on time. And I think that goes a long way for keeping the relationship solid.
Good point, because I don't even think about it. Like, of course we do.
It's just what you do, right? But when you think of the ways that friendships can go to pieces over business relationships, that's probably number one.
Yeah.
Just not following through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Enough on us. You've got a new book, and I fumbled through the monologue because I couldn't remember if this was 14 or 15.
It's 14. This is
14.
Book. Yes, it is.
Well, dadgum, lady.
Yeah.
I could say this. You had this vision Back when you told me, hey, I'm selling my PR firm. I
Mhm.
want to write and inspire women, and I want to speak. You've been on that mission for a long time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you are 14 books in and
Yeah.
probably writing your 15th and just haven't talked about it yet.
Well, there's the idea is there.
Yeah.
I'm right now focused on really getting this message out, um, because this is a book I've thought about for a very long time. I've been speaking on resilience since I
Hmm.
finished my second round of grad school, in positive psychology back in '08. That's when I first started really speaking on resilience, and I realized, back then it was very in demand because we were in the Great Recession.
Hmm.
And I thought once that was over, like around 2011 or so, I thought, oh, people aren't going to keep asking me to speak in organizations, particularly about resilience. It never stopped,
Never.
ever,
Mm-mm.
because it is the engine that helps people continue moving forward, moving towards a vision, dealing with inevitable challenges. Um, we need it.
Yeah.
Less requires resilience, but also the fact that life just doesn't always go the way we planned it.
Right.
And so I realized that this is a topic more and more. I realized this is something everyone should learn. I believe resilience should be taught in every school. We know when we teach kids how to think about situations, how to be more aware of themselves and how they react to things, it becomes something they practice over time, and they
Hmm.
become more successful in lots of different areas. And we know that, kids, for example, anxiety is way up. They're dealing with a lot of things we never dealt with, but so are we as adults.
Yes.
There's like chronic uncertainty. There's so much that's changed in the world. And then there's just the everyday stuff,
Yeah.
whether it is parenting or your career or dealing with parents who may be getting older, relationship stuff, financial health. It's everything.
It's everything. It's everything.
Yes, I wanted to create something that puts a really practical framework around resilience so that anyone can see how they're doing and what they can do from a practical standpoint to strengthen their resilience. I'm super excited about this.
That's good because we really need it right now. And that's how I want to go into our culture soup moment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had to turn the TV off. And a lot of times I limit my screen time from
Yeah.
scrolling because there's so much incredibly draining, taxing, bad news out there.
Yeah.
And I simply want to ask you, what was the impetus for this book right now? Because this book process, you can start writing and proposing 3-4 years out,
Mhm.
and then you start writing. But then it's so amazing how when these books arrive, they arrive right on time.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you got to the idea of doing a book on resilience right now.
Well, I would say that I originally was going to do the proposal for this in 2021, and I had blocked some time, but another opportunity came along from John Maxwell to create their online coach training and be a mentor in their program. And so apparently that wasn't the right time for me to write the book. So about 2 years ago in the fall, around September, I really outlined what these rules were, how I wanted to pull the book together, and created the proposal for it, and then had the book deal around February of last year, 24. And then, like, I was like, oh yeah, I can get it together in 6 months. I always have to be resilient through my own optimism as well as my procrastination habits. So I was using these rules as I was writing the book.
Yes. Isn't that the truth of it though? That's the way it was for Yes Please for me.
Yeah.
I really had to use a lot of the coaching in that book to get me through the
Mhm.
time frame I was in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the ways that it works. But I think it's also um, important that we practice self-compassion, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm never going to be perfect at what I do. I'm always going to be growing through it though. Like what's the lesson to learn here? What do I need to tweak? And I think that it really takes some of the stress off, because I think sometimes we can be much too hard on ourselves and beat ourselves up for not doing things perfectly. The question is, did you do it?
Yeah.
did you keep going until you got to the finish line, no matter how many times you stumbled along the way?
Yeah. What do you think makes this book about resilience so good for this moment in time?
Well, as I said, I think resilience education is really important. I think we are living in a time where there's a great deal of uncertainty in every possible way, whether you're, talking about world events, politics, social changes, technology, AI, what it looks like to be a young person and to raise a young person in the world currently. I think the pandemic, just the whole idea of a pandemic, that was a collective trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We're all moseying along. Everything's fine. Suddenly, everything's completely different in a way that most people probably never had imagined. And this creates a lot of anxiety. It also can shift and alter how you see the world that you're living in. Who are we? Who did I think we were versus who are we actually? And when you mention like over listening to the news, that's something you have to practice a lot of self-discipline.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To turn off the news or to stop scrolling.
Especially as a former news junkie.
Oh, yeah. It makes a huge difference because you've got to step back and process things for yourself. Because if you don't, and you're only doom scrolling or watching the news with all of the pundits whose job it is to keep you watching as long as possible, but which often means helping you catastrophize about all the worst case and irrational worst case scenarios. I'm not saying that there aren't bad things. I'm saying that there's no reason to let that spiral downward so that your mind is taking you places that are not helpful, but also that may have you producing more anxiety and less intention around how you want to show up at this time.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be very intentional about the voices that you are allowing in, even if you're in group texts and so forth with friends and they doom scroll for you and they're putting the stuff in there for you. You've got to think ahead about, how am I thinking about this? How do I want to respond and not just react? That's resilience.
Yeah.
While at the same time, understanding the importance of cultivating those relationships, having those conversations, because relationships, one of the rules of resilience is rally your resources, and that includes your relationships. We need to be able to talk things out. We need to be able to find our wisdom, and sometimes we do that by talking things out with other people.
Yeah.
So this isn't, detaching yourself from people, but it is having the time to kind of think through, how do I want to show up? What's helping me? What's getting me stuck? And being intentional about engaging in the things that actually help you move forward.
Yeah. You talked about catastrophizing, and I don't want to get too wonky, but it's a cognitive distortion, right? And there are lots of them. And what I heard you say is not simply that the doom scrolling can do it to you. There are actual triggers. And we talk about triggers when it comes to happiness, but there are some triggers that can get you into these spiraling negative thoughts, these cognitive distortions, the little gremlins that come for you. Can you talk about that?
Well, catastrophizing isn't just your negative thoughts about what might occur or what's about to happen. It is your irrational worst case scenario thoughts about what's about to happen, right? So, you could be lying in bed and you hear a noise and, it literally could be the AC, right? And you're catastrophizing, or your sister doesn't call you, when you thought, and you're catastrophizing. This could also be you hear something on the news and you are catastrophizing about it. So these are often thoughts. We don't say them out loud. This is the movie playing out in your head.
Right.
And being able to be aware of your thoughts is critical. This is one of the most important skills of resilience. Being able to be aware of your thoughts, being able to question your thoughts, being able to change the direction of your thoughts if they're not helping you. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception about resilience?
I think that if you're resilient, you're steely and strong and nothing really gets you.
Mm-hmm.
And so resilience can look really messy. It can look really unresilient. So resilience can look like you're falling apart while you're going through a divorce or something's happening with, in a relationship or your finances. Resilience could actually look like a bankruptcy or something gone wrong with your health, because in the middle of it, it's not about the idea that you never fall or you never make mistakes or you never falter in your thoughts or how you were handling something. It is, did you get back up? And so I think sometimes we feel like I'm not being resilient. You might be right in the middle of your process. So crying or looking like you're falling apart does not mean you're not resilient. As a matter of fact, I don't know how to be resilient without having those moments that feel like rock bottom.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's my way of looking at resilience. It actually comes with a high price tag. That adversity, that trauma, it gives you the passport to get there, but you have to let it teach you something.
Yeah. So like, if someone just says they're resilient, what's the first thing you're going to ask? Show me how.
Yeah.
Right. If you haven't been through anything, what are you talking about? Right. So I think understanding that authenticity is a hallmark of resilience. And part of what that means is that you may not have the answers today, but you haven't given up your search for answers. It may mean that you feel very vulnerable or afraid to ask for help. But resilience is picking up the phone or sending that text or, walking down the hall and saying, I don't know what to do next, or, I need help. Those things are really important. And those things take awareness of your need for help, but it also takes courage, because it's different for everyone. What might be easy for you to do may be difficult for someone else, and for good reason. So I think it's so important that we recognize that resilience isn't you have all the answers all the time, or that you never look, quote unquote, weak. In fact, often that is resilience, but you got back up.
Yes.
Right. You might have said something that sounded completely unresilient, and then you caught yourself. And you said, that's not true. Right. You might have said, I can't do this. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Blah, blah. Yeah, maybe you said that. And then the next day you said, you know what? That's not getting you anywhere. And that's completely untrue. Now, you might feel like you're not good enough, but you're going to get up. You're going to go for it. You're going to take that next step. You're going to make that call. You're going to walk into that interview. And you are going to decide how you show up, regardless of whether you might feel some insecurity or feel some fear. And I think that's very freeing.
Yeah, it is.
Then we can feel what we feel, and then we still make a decision.
Yeah,
about how we show up in spite of what we might feel.
I love the way you just brought in that cornerstone of authenticity to the mix when you're talking about resilience. Along those lines, how do our values dictate, or do they dictate how resilient we are, or if we can even reach resilience?
That's an interesting question. So our values are basically what we value. It's the things we think are important, So I have values around creativity and excellence and freedom. Someone else may have completely different values. I think the most important piece is that your values need to drive your goals. Right? So when we talk about authenticity, if you're trying to be resilient in something that really doesn't reflect your values, it will be very difficult to persevere. Purpose has to fuel your perseverance. And your purpose is always going to somehow be tied to your values.
Yes.
So I talk in the book, there's a chapter, it's one of the rules, which is focus on the vision, not the obstacle. And I talk about the importance of, as you're developing your vision, is it reflecting your values, what really matters to you? Because often you need to tweak it a bit. It might almost be there, but something doesn't quite feel authentic for you. And when that happens, you can find yourself faltering, or you just don't have the energy to push forward when it gets hard. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when things get really hard, it needs to really, really matter to you to keep going.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a tie between resilience and our values.
Yeah. Writing these books, I find it cathartic. I find it therapeutic. I find it transformational. Do you feel that way? And if so, how did writing this book change you? I know my latest book, I not only went through a transformation, I learned some things that I had no clue about when it came to some historical things that had happened right there in my neighborhood.
Yeah, wow.
But all of that came together to transform me. How has this book changed you?
So I wrestle sometimes when I write. The thought that kept trying to get to me, that I had to be resilient through, and ultimately I was, which kind of surprised me because I've been speaking on this topic so long, was, who are you? Who are you to write a book about?
Mm-hmm.
There are people going through more things. I mean, sure, you've been through divorce, and you dealt with infertility, and you've built a successful business, and that wasn't always easy. Like it was like rolling down my list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to literally use the process on myself to
Because that was a gremlin.
Oh yeah. I'd sit down to write, and literally this little voice was going, "Who are you?" And I had to answer the question. And the first answer was, I'm never claiming to be the most resilient person, but this is a calling for me. And what I'm doing is taking the research of resilience, taking all these years of coaching people, taking what I know of applied positive psychology, and saying, what are we talking about when we talk about resilience? What I discovered was, we're talking about a system that you create. And even if you don't realize that you've created it, we've all got a system. The system might be weak, or it might be really strong, or it might be somewhere in the middle. And we need to understand, how is our system? How strong is it? And what do you do to increase the system? So for me, it was like, what are you wanting to do for people? What are you wanting them to learn that they wouldn't know if they didn't read this book otherwise? In other words, what makes it worth reading? And so I wanted it to not just be inspiration, but to be very practical to use in a lot of different settings. So I had to get clear about that piece, what was going to be different. Also, I share a lot of other people's stories. So one of the things for me was just owning it, just owning that this is the space that I feel led to for this time. And I feel really very strongly about it. We've created a corporate resilience training as a part of this. We will have a personal, online resilience training for people. My hope is, over time, we will be, getting into schools with resilience training, because I mean, this is needed. It's great to know, the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, all that stuff is important. But my goodness, we need more psychological capital. We need more mental fitness and mental toughness for the times that we're living in. And so how did it transform me? Probably the conviction that it created in me to create the book, and then and really do it in a very intentional way. So that question that kept bothering me, I answered the question. When I answered the question, it gave me a greater sense of purpose around how to write the book. So the pillars for the system, and then these 10 rules. They're easy to remember. And I want you to be able to just know those rules. And depending on the dilemma, what do I need? Oh, I know what I need. I need to create that strengthen me, or I need to control controllable and accept the rest. So it gave me more purpose for how I was going about this particular book.
Excellent. It's interesting. I'm glad the listeners have heard this. And if you're joining along on the live stream and you're wondering, who's she talking to? This is Valorie Burton. She is the author of Rules of Resilience and 13 other books. And she's the CEO of the CAP Institute, where I got my coach training. But she trains all sorts of coaches and leaders who want to use coaching in their respective areas. Look, it's interesting because coaches, people get the idea that we have it all together. But I'm glad you said that you had a little gremlin that came along and said something to you, because I've got gremlins too. In fact, your 10
Well,
rules, I've got 10 lessons in my book. One of them actually is resilience. I just let a cat out of the bag. Nobody has heard about the lessons from the Black church yet, but one is resilience. But along the way, as I'm building in the science and I'm building in the history and culture and I'm building in the leadership theory, the word rigor showed up in my brain. And I'm like, you know what? This is rigorous. We're making sure we're doing rigor. And a little voice in my head goes, well, how rigorous can you be? Do you have a PhD? I was like, oh, there's a little voice.
yeah.
And
So you're not allowed
that
to.
stuff.
Who are you
Yeah.
to? Like, and you got to talk back to those thoughts.
Yes.
I think one of the most resilient things you can do, and this goes back to authenticity, is like answer your own questions, your doubtful questions, right? And sometimes we answer them and the answer might not be what we want to hear, but if we're authentic, we're okay with it
Yes.
because it still gives us information to move forward. One of the things I know is, my part of my calling is the applied piece. I love research. I think it's so very important, but I want to help people apply it. I'm very practical.
Yes.
My job is practical inspiration. Thank God for the researchers.
Yes.
Like that's, and so, and I share even from my, my experience at the University of Pennsylvania. I thank several of the researchers that really helped me get clarity. I guess it was about 5 books then when I went to grad school about some things that I didn't know, and then really lit that flame to keep studying.
Yes.
But you don't need permission to study the research.
Right. And those were my answers. You are a storyteller and you are a dot connector.
Yeah.
And there are people out here that don't have access to this information. And you're the one that's going to spill the tea.
Let me tell you what you do have. And we both have this, right? I have a master's in journalism. You have one, I think, in communications. You've been a journalist, right? So that background is being able to translate information in a way that people can apply and digest. And I realize that's me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's probably so much of what the two of us have in common.
Yeah.
Around the coaching as well as the journalism and writing piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you want out of this book? I heard you say you want to have corporate lessons. You're going to have maybe even going to the schools with some education. But what's the one thing you want people to take away from Rules of Resilience? They have a toolbox all of a sudden. But is there anything else that they should be able to take away and say as a result of reading the book?
So the subtitle is 10 Ways Successful People Get Better, Wiser, and Stronger.
There it is.
You can go through stuff. Some of it is not stuff you want to go through. That is unfortunately life.
Yeah.
How do you keep getting better? How do you glean the wisdom and get stronger as a result? And I talk about these 4 levels of resilience. The 2 bottom ones are unresilient. I know that's a word I made up, but we need a simple word, unresilient. Okay.
Hey, you make up words when you need to.
Yeah. And then there is surviving, which is resilience, and there's thriving. When we get to the end of the book, there's a bonus rule around paying it forward. Resilience, once we have been through the thing and we've come out on the other side, we aren't to keep that to ourselves. So I talk there about my own family history, right? And how that was passed down. My great-grandfather had a business in downtown Anderson, South Carolina, where my parents are from. And, he died when my mom was 11, but she talked so much about Daddy Joe and how he wanted, his kids to pursue entrepreneurship because he felt like that was a way they could take more control of their lives, especially in times of Jim Crow and not being able to have options and opportunities. And, as a little girl, that sparked my interest in going into business for myself, probably teamed up with my values around freedom and creativity, right? And even in these current times that we live in, when people start talking about going backwards in some ways, and I hear a lot of fear. And I'm like, my parents, the world they grew up in was not free, not for them. And I look at where they are and who they are today, and my grandparents even more so.
Yes.
And so being able to pay forward your resilience is what I think all of us need, because we're living in times where people feel afraid, they feel anxious, they feel uncertain. And sometimes we need perspective.
Yes.
And so I think part of what we need to pay forward, obviously, is to the next generation, but sometimes it's just to the people right in our circle. It's our peers, it is our family members, it is the encouragement that is needed and reminding people of who they are and where they have come from and what they are capable of.
Yeah.
And for me, that has given me a great deal of confidence.
Absolutely.
And add to that my faith. And we will be okay.
Here we go with our values again. Align with those as your North Star, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You know what? Tell us when the book comes out. I know we're in pre-order time frame right now. So tell them where they can get their copy reserved so that when the day comes, it drops on me.
Yes. So it drops September 16th.
Okay.
So whoever your favorite retailer is, right? Whether it's Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or maybe there is a locally owned store.
Spread it out, y'all. Spread it out.
Yes.
We're trying to get, let's be honest, let's get her on a list.
Yes. Also, I really want people to be thinking about in the context of paying it forward, like, who in your circle do you want to go through this book with? Is it a book club? Is it a small group within your church or your faith community? Is it a small group on your team? Like, these rules are things you can talk through very easily and apply to specific situations. So whether you are encouraging others to do that with you, I've known of people that are already pulling together their book clubs, some of them virtual, or you're going to get the book and send it to 10 people that you know. But yes, getting on bestseller lists is a really fantastic way to be able to raise visibility.
Yes.
Which means you get to reach more people, because people go, oh, what's that? So thank you for asking.
Yes. So that's a best-selling list, mentioned with purpose. That's what I heard you say. That's so important. So I get to see you in November, and it's going to be the first time since we've been in the same hotel, and it may even be the same hotel.
Yes, the event's at the Crown Plaza. Yeah.
Since CTI.
Yeah.
You want to tell the people what's happening?
Yeah. So we are planning a coaching and resilience summit. I'm super excited about.
Woo-hoo.
And second, so really, whether you are a coach and wanting to take some skills to the next level, particularly around how you incorporate resilience into how you're coaching others. But at the core of that, we start with you being more resilient. How do you build up that resilience for yourself, so that whatever that vision is that you have, whatever that challenge is that you're working through, you get to the finish line, you get to the vision that you're imagining for yourself.
It's so awesome. So awesome. And you're going to be talking a little bit about the program that I work on as a part of CAP.
Yes.
You want to tell the people about that too?
Oh, you just tee everything up.
Of course. This is what it's for, right?
So CAP is the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute. That's what it stands for. We have trained coaches in every state. We're at, I think, 38 countries around the world now. Everything is live and online, so it's very easily accessible. And we piloted our advanced professional coach program last year from September to March. So our first group, our certified,
and it was great.
Yeah, of advanced professional coaches. And Elle Michelle was one of our faculty members and is in that program. So we will be launching the official one in early 2026. And the Coaching and Resilience Summit is a great place for those who, have been thinking about how do I take my coaching to the next level. It's a launching pad into our advanced professional coach program. So the excitement of that is, our programs are level 1, our first 3. CTI, which you mentioned, the Coach Training Intensive, which is a 3-day, like, do I want to coach? Is this what I want? It's our prerequisite to our certified personal coach program, which you see right there, CPEC. That is what Elle Michelle is. And then our mentor coaching experience, that rounds out our level 1 accredited program through the International Coaching Federation. APC goes to the next level. We're in process on our level 2 accreditation. We're like in the last step right now. So that's a big part of what we were doing. And I really appreciate your contributing to our curriculum for that.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's such a blessing, and it's great to pour into coaches, especially when we're talking about business.
Yes.
And that's the course that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the marketing of it, coaching is, I mean, you can say it's new. We know from all the data now coaching really works. It's why so many organizations now are like, yes, this needs to be a piece, because coaching is a resilience skill. It's a tool that we use to navigate challenges and opportunities. And so it's amazing. CAP's been around now. Our first program was in 2010. So we're at 15 years. So it's exciting.
It's amazing. You have a lot to be proud of. I'm proud of you, even if you're not going to, bask in it right now. I'm going to bask in it for you. I think it's amazing, and I respect you, and I love you. I can just text Valorie anytime. And I know if she's on stage, she's going to text me later, but pretty often I hit her at a good time because she responds. And any question that I have, okay, let's be real about this. Some people are just so busy that they don't respond to text.
Oh, well, first of all, you can't give everybody your number.
True.
So if you give them your number, I assume that there's somebody who would respond.
You would think.
But you know what? Also, like, I've had friends and I get a glimpse of their phone. They got like 78 unread texts. I can't do that.
No.
And that's 4 right now. And I'm like,
that gets back to what you just said. Don't give your number out to everybody. You would think that if you have given the number out to someone, it's someone you want to text back.
Yeah. You can give other things, email addresses.
Yes.
Social media.
And iPhone's great. If I don't recognize the number, it's going into that little, folder over there where you don't see it unless you go look.
I'm excited. First of all, thank you I know you're proud of me. I'm proud of you too. I'm excited for you, your book, your next book that's coming out, your deal. I'm sure you've talked a lot about on the show, and just your resolve to find your calling and live it. You live it out with such enthusiasm.
Well, thank you. And it's so important. I was on my way from dropping Joni off at school, and my routine is to call my folks at their house, right? Just to check on them, but just to say hi. And my mom says, "How are you this morning? You sound good." I said, "You know what? I'm just happy anyway." Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to decide.
Yes.
Because entrepreneurship is not easy. And I don't want to bring this up in too much depth, but what is happening with Uncle Nearest right now? Mm-hmm. No matter what you think about, how it happened or whatever, as much as I don't like that it's happening to Fawn and the Weavers, I do like the idea that people are able to see that even if you're dealing in 7, 8 figures, that it's hard.
Yes.
And when the bill comes due, you got to pay the bill, whether it's $5 or it's $100 million. You have to pay. And the creditors come, and these things happen when things slow down, because we're in a point right now where a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling because things have slowed down. People are holding on to their money longer. Organizations don't
you're talking about, right? People may have it, but like, I don't know what's coming, so I want to be.
They hold on to their money, and guess what? These small business owners, or even macro small business owners, still have American Express showing up asking for their money 30 days later.
Yeah.
So there are some days where you have to choose to be enthusiastic.
You choose it, and one of the things that I know is when you choose it, it actually makes you better able to deal with the challenges. Literally, that positive emotion opens up your mind to see more options, to persevere longer, to make better decisions, and
it activates the hope theory.
Yes, and you have to put things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget the perspective I had. This is way back when I was still in Dallas, and I was running my PR firm, and something had happened with somebody that was in the business, and it felt like the biggest business thing I dealt with. It was something financial. It was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it was all that consumed my thoughts. The very next week, my mother had a brain aneurysm while we were talking. She was 49 and by all medical accounts should have died.
Yeah.
Suddenly my mom is in ICU with a breathing tube. And I've got an 8-year-old brother that I need to take care of. All of a sudden, that business issue, I can handle it. I remember saying multiple times, if your biggest issue right now is money, count your blessings.
Yeah.
Because
that's a first world problem.
When there are things that you have no control over. You have no control over whether that disease is going to go away or whether that parent is going to be able to breathe on their own again. Like, it just put everything into perspective. I'm not saying that it's not hard when you deal with business things, but we always, and even with the health challenges, we still have to find what there is to be grateful for.
Yes, you do.
Right in the middle of that, I was like, oh my goodness, the way that friends and family have rallied around us and the prayers.
The way she's still here.
The fact that she's still here. Like,
yes.
She's still here. And she's still here right now in 2020.
And we love Mrs. Murray. We love Mama Murray.
Yes. So, yes. And I think entrepreneurship in particular takes a lot of resilience because there will be many days we're like, what am I doing? And the first 10 years I was in this business, I would, from time to time, I'd be like looking at like job boards, if I had just not had all this, ambition, somebody else could be paying me and it'd be their responsibility to figure out how. Like, I had to get to the point where I said, we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
Because this is your purpose. This is what we're doing. and it paid off.
Yes.
But it takes a lot of tenacity.
Yes, it does.
And
it's not for everyone.
No, it's not for everyone.
It really isn't.
Like,
that's okay.
We have this whole hustle culture, like everybody has to be a business owner.
No, please go get your 9-to-5 and your steady check.
Like, seriously, like it's not for everybody. It's no judgment. I don't say everyone has to be better. You just have to know you.
Yeah.
And pursue what is for you. And for me, I knew.
Right.
That is not for me.
Yeah.
And the faster I let it go, the more I can focus my energy.
Yes. And then you can focus your energy on giving yourself the raise next week if you want to.
It's nice.
You don't have to argue with anybody.
And I do not.
Yeah, absolutely not. Valorie, it has been such a pleasure to have you on again. Thank you so much. And everybody, the book is Rules of Resilience. And what's that subtitle again? 10
ways successful people get better, wiser, and stronger.
Get it from whatever bookseller you like to go to. And if you want to get it from an independent bookseller, go for it because they need our support.
Yeah, and there's the Audible as well and the ebook. And so whatever format. Yes, it's available right now for pre-order, and then you'll get it on the 16th of September.
Awesome. Entrepreneurs, go get Rules of Resilience. Okay. All right. Thanks, Valorie.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Culture Soup Podcast is a production of No Size Communication, LLC.
The Culture Soup Podcast is a registered trademark of No Silos Communications,